Okay, in the last few videos, we've gone through zip code assignment and creating a working tab in the shared workbook. So it's your demo thing here, or that's what we've been doing in our demo tab. We've also covered pulling information from the Lamar product inventory website, and we more recently covered um, reformatting the GPS coordinates that you've pulled out and using Google Street View to look at what some of these billboards have been advertising. Now we're going to get into proximity and what these billboards are around. So we're back here. We've collected all this information, and now now we're going to be filling out these columns here. So you're going to go back into, this is where we were in Street View. You're going to just click that button there to go out back to an aerial view. And this is our billboard. We're looking for what's around it. So you can go to click nearby. And for this, there are a slew of different, right now there are 4. We may add or replace some of those, but right now we're going to be looking for schools, parks, places of worship, and community centers around this billboard here, or whatever billboard you're working on. So in there, we clicked nearby, and now we're going to type in school and press enter. If you press let's see what happens there. Sometimes there will be an arrow here. If you press that, it'll give you driving directions. Don't do that. Just type in the keyword and press enter. And it'll zoom out to include all these extra red points. Some of them have a little graduation cap. Some of them don't. But all of these red points now, and the red point we were looking at is turned blue now. So we're still have that in mind. This GPS point is our billboard. And all these red points are different schools that have come up that are nearby it. And then we have a list here, and you see as you scroll over them, they pop up. And so this is in order of which one is closest from closest to farthest from that GPS point. Now, we want to look at actual distance from the billboard to our different schools around it and such. So one of the first things that we need to do for that is actually figure out, we're looking for a radius of 2,000 feet around the billboard. So if it's beyond 2,000 feet, we're just going to ignore it because this will always pull something. So let's figure out what 2,000 feet looks like. You're going to right click, go to measure distance, and then that creates that little white point. You click anywhere else in the map, and you see you got this ruler. And you can take that, if you click extra parts of it, it's going to kink it all over the place. That's not what you want, really. You just want it to be a straight line. You can either get rid of that by clicking those new points again, and it'll go away. Or if you want to just start over for whatever reason, clear measurement. But here we go. Let's start by measuring distance. Let's see what 2,000 feet looks like. You can grab either one of these points and adjust them there. So just, about 2,000 feet. Great. And now I'm going to zoom in to the map, and you can click to drag it around. And just zoom in a little more, and there. So now what's in the view of my map, we can kind of see roughly what 2,000 feet looks like. So you can see if you had something way over here, you could probably ignore it. I'm going to adjust this a little more because we want this to be right on the GPS point. So for that, you can actually zoom way in. Just make sure it's right there. And I'm going to zoom back out. And here are our points. For this, it will be most helpful to look at the satellite imagery. So you can go down to this and you get different layers for the map. Just click on satellite. And now it changes to satellite imagery overhead. And with this, you can just see a little bit better what different properties are. So I'm gonna click out of that. Oh, and that made it go away. I just want to see a little bit better. So we're looking at Sunderland Elementary School right here, North Star Elementary. So like clearly not a great place for an alcohol ad. That's obvious, but we only want to add information about the closest. Like, what is the minimum distance between that billboard and a school? So this is kind of a judgment call. The first thing that comes up here is Sunderland or Liberated Learners. Let's see. North Star is there. So, okay. So I think it's kind of obvious that this is the closer one. And we could measure from this point right here, but it's really over here that is the closest point. And it's not really clear where this property line ends. So this is going to be a little bit of a judgment call. Just use your best guess of like where you think you're most confident is clearly part of that school, and that's totally fine. We're not looking for high precision here, just roughly. So this looks like 367 feet. Again, we're not looking for high precision, so I'm going to round that up to 370. And right here, 370. Bam, that's done. Now we're going to repeat that whole process I'm going to go back to the mapping layer just for it's a little bit easier to see if you're just looking for locations. And we're going to repeat that for community center, places of worship, park, and etc. So I'm going to do parks next. It's just because that's a little bit easier. So what is a community center? We might change that. And here are all the parks around. In this right here, this green area looks like did probably some kind of not sure exactly, but anyways, we've got Riverside Park, and don't quite remember what 2,000 feet looks like. So let's just see. Measure distance to here. It's about 2,000 feet. What does Riverside Park actually look like? Okay, that's clearly a place where library. That's another one that we might want to add. So I'm gonna say, all right, this is kind of a gray area. I'm going to leave it out because it's just beyond our radius. But a good point. If you happen to find a point, like this is Frontier Community Access Television, not necessarily a place that you'd find a lot of kids hanging out. But still, if this were within 2,000 feet, you'd find a point, measure that, and you would add it in here. But since it isn't, I'm going to add NA. You do the same thing as I said for community center and place of worship. One last point is the sidewalk piece. So I'm gonna go back into street view for this. I'm gonna clear my measurement because that's a little bit weird to look at. And really, we're just looking for walkability. This is not a super friendly place to be walking, although there is a shoulder, but it doesn't have a little bit further up. I think there is a sidewalk. Let's see. Yeah. So I think this is far enough. We're not seeing any sidewalks around here. So although, you could walk if you wanted to, but either way, I'm going to say no. This is not a really highly walkable place. I think now at this point, you have filled out everything except, you'll go through and fill these two out too. And then, and as I said, really, I would really highly recommend going through and completing the first filling out this information for all of the billboards that you have and the zip code that you're assigned, and then going through with all this information. So that's it. And hopefully this has been helpful.